Welcome to part 2 of using Foamcore. Now keep in mind this isn't a specific tutorial for making an insert for this game. I'm just showing you some of the basic principles for working with this great material. Now of course you'll have beautiful, highly organised plans to make your inserts with, but this is what you do if you're just making up a plan and designing it as you go, which is what I usually do. So I've got my box piece and I've cut this piece to fit in the bottom of the box perfectly. If I cut this piece roughly, I could just shave pieces off the edge of the Foamcore until I had a nice snug fit. But that's working well. Now I want to measure how high the walls of the inside are going to be, and I've got to remember that what I'm going to put on the top above those walls is the rulebook, and I'm also going to cut a piece from the insert that Fantasy Flight Games in this case provides, and use that as a piece to go on top of the inner tray. So I'm taking into account the width of this and the width of the rulebook on top, and that's about 2 or 3 millimeters. Then I measure the inside height of the box, which is about 43, take off about 3, so my walls are going to be about 40 millimeters high in this particular case. Let's cut the side pieces of our box insert, and here I don't even have to measure the actual distance in millimeters. I can use the base piece as a template for cutting. So I'll put the base piece against the edge here, line it up, and then getting my metal ruler, place it against the edge of the base piece, cut that out. Now I've got a piece which is as long as my base piece, and now I can measure my pieces for the sides, and they'll be 40 millimeters. Actually I'll cut it from this side, 40 millimeters. Now once I've cut one of these, I can then use that piece as a template for cutting the other 3 sides. Be careful when you're punching into the cardboard with the point of the blade, because you can distort the cardboard. So just make sure the point goes in cleanly and then cut. So there's one side piece. Now I can use that as a template, line it up against the edge, put my ruler against the side, take it away and cut another piece. And I can do that 4 times. So you'll notice that I'm doing this quite roughly and doing it as I go along and not worrying about exact measurements. Now if you're using my plans, of course, you'll be measuring everything exactly because you want to match my plan. But this is the way I make an insert from scratch. And there are my 4 pieces. Now I'll be putting these walls up, and this will show you the basic principles of building any box or any tray using the Foamcore, white glue, and something I didn't mention before, but dressmaker's pins. These are handy for keeping everything together while it dries. You can then, after the glue is dried, take out the pins and it'll be quite a strong bond. So take the edge of your Foamcore, take your glue. It's good if you have white glue that has a nice thin nozzle like this one, and then squeeze out a bead of glue along the edge of the Foamcore, nice and smoothly. Whoops, there we go. You can clean a bit off the edges with your finger, but the idea is to get that bead of glue in the middle of the edge of the Foamcore, then it won't squirt out too much on the sides when you put it together. So get that and press it right up against the edge of your box. Press it down. Using your finger, just clean up any excess glue that squirts out there. And then you can take a couple of pins, pick up the edge and put 2 pins, even another one in the middle if you want, in the edge, like so. And that'll keep that together while it bonds. Do the same on the opposite edge of the box. And you can see you can get quite fast at this once you get the hang of it. Careful not to squash the end of the pin into your finger there. Make sure you've got the right end of the pin. Just pressing down. Another tip, if you have glue coming out on the inside of the box like this, you can use the flat edge of the knife just to draw it along there and draw out the excess glue. Just be careful with the knife as usual, but that will just clean that up. Now I'm putting the other 2 sides in, and these ones, as you know, are the same length as these pieces, and they need to be a bit shorter. So what I'll do is just measure it up against the inside, put a little notch in there, then getting my ruler, and I'm lining this up against the grid of the cutting mat to make it faster. And where the notch is, cut off a piece, and then this piece will be the right size to go in there. So this time we're doing the edges as well as the side edges as well as the bottom edge. Side edge, side edge. Let's clean that up a bit. Don't want too much squirting out. White glue easily comes off the fingers when it dries. Then put that piece in the right spot. Again, putting pins in to keep it there while it dries. Lining it up on the sides. There we go. Remember to press those edges together and make sure everything is lined up. Just another pin there. There we go. 3 sides. 1 more side to go. So now I've got my base box. Now I want to let that dry, and a good way to let it dry and make sure everything's being pressed together is to put it upside down and then put some weight on top of that. Here I've got a pile of magazines. You can use books or anything like that. Now when I do that, put it on there, make sure I press my edges together so they're staying together. This will put weight down and make sure that the sides attach nicely to the bottom. Again, just clearing up any excess glue. And there we go. We'll let that dry. Now that's had a bit to dry, we'll take these off, and there's our box insert. Now you can take out these pins if you want to. I usually do, but it's a matter of taste. You can keep them in for strength. I find that the white glue has a strong enough bond and you won't really need to keep these in. So take them out and then pop your insert in the box. There's your basic insert. In the next video we'll start talking about making interior trays, dividers, things like that. But you've got the basic principles now, so you can even go right ahead and download the plans from the Esoteric Order of Gamers website. We've got plans up for the Merchant of Venus game, and very soon we'll have plans up for Descent 2nd edition, and there'll be more on the way. So, get your Foamcore, get to it.